All right, good morning, ladies and gents. Let's go ahead and start with our second day here. So, as you can see, my dough has proofed up a little bit here. It's for yours. It should have proofed up, should have about doubled in size. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the shaping and rounding process here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now for your mise en place sheet, the steps that you're going to write out here. We are now on step 6. So step 6 is to portion out the dough into pieces and round them. So here, what you have to do for your own dough is kind of feel the dough and kind of feel what it's like. If it feels a little bit wet and a little bit sticky, you're going to need to dust your board or dust your counter with a little bit of flour. Okay. Then I'm going to very gently work the dough out of the container and onto the board. Now, because I feel it a little bit sticky on the top, I'm just going to dust it just a little bit with flour on top. And I'm just going to kind of very gently press this out just a little bit, just to make it so I'm not punching out the dough that much, really just kind of redistributing. I'm not sure if you're able to see all these little bubbles that are in the dough. That's from the yeast, okay? So now, with either a bench scraper, a spatula, or a knife, just be careful about the counter underneath. Don't be sawing back and forth if you're using a knife. I'm going to cut this dough into pieces. Now, if you want to go with a regular dinner roll, hold on. If you want to go with a normal dinner roll, just kind of like this will make about 8 of these. Okay. However, you have a couple options as far as the shapes. You can, again, go with just simple dinner rolls here. You can also go with a braid. You can go with folds. I'm going to show you a couple different ways. It's up to you on what to choose. But either way, I'm going to cut the dough into portions. And so for the first shape I'm going to show you is a simple dinner roll. Okay, so I'm going to cut my dough into half and then half again. And then each of those pieces into half. Now, the dough should be slightly sticky. Okay, my dough feels perfect right now, so I'm actually not going to really work a ton of flour. So what I'm going to do here in order to make a ball is I'm just going to flatten it out just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to take one piece at about 12 o'clock. Here on your perspective, it looks like 6 o'clock. I'm going to pull that into the center and just press. Then I'm going to grab 1 o'clock, bring it in, and I'm just going to go around the dough and just kind of bunch it up. Then, when I have it into kind of a ball shape, I'm going to turn the dough around and using my hand, I'm just going to kind of roll it, and there you go. Okay. Now, as far as where to bake this, you have a couple different options. You can just simply put them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, not wax paper. Do not use wax paper, parchment paper. Or a silicone baking mat. You can do that. You can grease a cake pan and put them into there and become almost like a pull-apart roll. You can use a baking, like a cake pan, or you can even go with a muffin tin. So a bunch of different options here. Okay, for this first one, I'm going to put it onto a baking tray. Spray it with a little oil, and I'm going to put my roll down. So again, I'm going to press this out bring it into the center, bring to the center, and just kind of go around the dough. Again, the dough should be slightly sticky here, so don't go crazy with your flour. Okay. Now, if it's overly sticky and you can't even work with it, then yes, then go ahead and use, dust your board with a little bit of flour, work your hands through the flour, and then work with the dough. Okay, but mine feels pretty good. So bring that in, bring that in. Okay, then rolling it over. Okay, my board, the dough should be slightly sticking to the table, just a tiny bit, so that the dough is kind of rolling over and getting a nice tight outer surface. There you go. Now, another shape that you can do is if I were to cut this, just like I did my dinner rolls, I can cut this roughly into 3 pieces. And each of those pieces I can roll into its own individual portion. And place them into a muffin tin. So again, rough idea here. And this piece looks a little small. So there we go. Again, okay, dough's getting a little sticky, so I'll just run my hand through the flour. And then I'll have one like that. Okay. So sorry, I have to keep going back behind the camera to have to make sure that it is still going. All right. Now, one other choice that you can make as far as shape is a very challenging shape to make, but if you can pull it off, it looks really cool, which is a braid. So here, I'm going to take about half of the dough and I'm going to cut it right in half, or roughly in half. Here, I know this one's just a little bit bigger. That is okay. I'm going to put one piece over. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press the dough out lightly. I'm then going to fold the dough over in half, and then you see here, I'll turn it over. You see you'll have this little seal right here. I'm just gonna press that gently, because remember, now we have a bunch of gas that's in the dough. We don't really want to be pressing this or messing with it too much and beat all the gas out of it. And then what you're going to do is, using more of the pads of your fingers, or I should say the base of your fingers, is you're just going to kind of just roll the dough out, just kind of into this little cylinder shape. Now my dough is sticking quite a bit, so I'm just going to flour just a little bit. If you add too much flour, the dough is just going to kind of slide. It's not going to actually it's not going to roll. Okay, so that's one piece there. So I'll put that to the side. Next piece, again, just very light pat out. I'm going to fold. Okay. Again, I want the dough sticky here so that it sticks to itself. I'm going to seal that. And then, see how it's a little too sticky? I'm just going to Get a little bit of extra flour there, and I'm just going to roll this out. Now, you don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to press down too hard. Work from the center using your middle fingers here, and then just kind of start to roll this outward until you get two pieces that are roughly about the same. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold the dough over right at the halfway point. Then I will take one piece, roll it over, then take the other piece, roll it over, so on, so on, so on, until I get to the end, in which case I'm going to seal it, and then using the edge of my hand, I'm just going to kind of roll it back and forth until my hand literally cuts through the dough. So again, on the other side, roll over, 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 over. Okay. You want to try to get it to about the same tightness as what's over here. So see here, it's a little more bunched up than on the other side. So I'm just going to fix that right now. Okay, and that looks roughly the same. Okay, I'm then going to press that together, and then using the edge of my hand, press, roll back and forth. And there we go. And there we go. We now have a braid. Now, you can bake this as is. You can just put it right onto a baking tray, let it proof, and bake it as is. But you can also take the dough and bring it together into the center. Just kind of gently press that together and create this sort of ring. Now, I know mine does not look exactly like what you would find in a restaurant. That's fine. Or a professional bakery. That is okay. Okay. But there is a few designs that you can do with this braid now that you have it. Okay. What I'm going to then do is in the spray tray. And then I'm going to transfer it over to my baking tray. All right. So no matter which option you choose to go with, here you have step 6 and step 7. Step 6 was to portion the dough. Step 7 is to shape the dough. Now step 8 is you're going to proof the dough for about 1 hour. Anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. How long it's going to take is really going to depend on your environment, on the temperature of your home, where you place this dough, a bunch of different factors. So your dough may proof in less time. It may take more time. What you're looking for is the dough to have grown in size slightly, for it to have proofed up, for it to become kind of light and airy, and then you should be ready to bake. All right, so I'm going to cut the recording here. I'm going to pick up where in about an hour or so, and you'll see the difference. Just what you're going to do, just so that you can proof it, you don't want the surface to dry out. So you're going to take some spray and just spray the very top of the dough, and then cover it in plastic. There we go. Now I'm just going to let it proof. Okay, so far I've been proofing for about 40 minutes here. You can see there's maybe a little bit of growth, not a ton, but just a little bit here. When you get to about 20 to 30 minutes away from when you are going to start baking, you're going to go ahead and turn on your oven. So this is step 9, which is you're going to bake in a 400-degree oven for anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes or until the outside is nice and golden brown. So let me go ahead and turn on my oven. Now, that time range is going to depend on what you are baking. This is going to cook at a different rate than this. That's okay. My suggestion is go for less time. So bake it for about 9-10 minutes. Check on it. If it doesn't look golden brown, then you can always add more time. You can't really take it away. Optionally here, if you want to make the outside of the bread kind of nice and golden and shiny, what you can do is you can take an egg, a single egg, and just mix it into a bowl with a fork and just add in like a tablespoon of water or milk. And you're just going to mix that together and create an egg wash that you can then brush over the top of the bread here. And that egg wash will make a very shiny, nice golden brown exterior that really looks appealing. Now, in my case, I will admit, I ran out of eggs, so unfortunately I am not going to do that today, but that is perfectly fine. It'll still come out really well and nice and golden brown on top. So in about 20 minutes or so, I'm going to go ahead and bake this at 400 degrees, and then I will show you what it looks like right before I bake it. Then I'm going to show you what it looks like after it's done baking. All right, so it is about an hour later, so I have my different rolls and breads here. I'm going to go ahead and bake that in my 400 degree oven. And I will see you when they come out. All right, and here we are. Our breads are baked. All the different rolls. All right, and there you have it. 3 different types of breads here. Now, this is very, very hot, so I can't really touch it too much. But as you can see, a little bit soft, a little bit pillowy. Okay, now, here comes the hardest part. Let it cool down. Okay, I would give it about 10, maybe 15 minutes before you start actually getting into it and start eating it. I know it's really tempting to do this now, but trust me, not only will waiting allow the bread to cool so that you can eat it, but that it'll stay moist, it'll stay fresh. If you cut or break into it now, all the water that's in there will evaporate. So reward yourself, stay patient, wait, and then you can enjoy. I personally would serve it with either Nutella, honey, butter. This is where your salted butter comes in, but that's it. Go ahead, enjoy, and that's it.